You know what I was just thinking about from The Office? That one episode where Dwight thinks he's going to call in to a show, I believe, and he was just practicing his... I don't remember the phrase he was saying, but he was just practicing. From High School Musical. Hello, it's Annabelle. Welcome. It's very gloomy here today. Just actually began pouring down rain 5 minutes before I hit the camera. And when I was picking out my outfit, I was even thinking, maybe I should wear a dress because it's technically, we're leading into June. And that makes sense because it's almost summer, but it also doesn't make sense with the weather today. And I'm actually enjoying it. I used to just hate rainy days, the stereotype where Californians can't deal with rain. No, I just don't like it when I have to go out, you know, driving in the rain or walking home in the rain. But when you're staying home the whole day, it's very nice to hear it. I don't know if you can hear it. The ambiance is great and makes me also very grateful to stay dry and warm. It was a perfect room temperature when I went out with Bambi onto the balcony this morning. It felt like there was no change between inside outside. There was no wind. I enjoyed that. Nice morning. Oh, and I was gonna light candles. That would be the most perfect addition to our background here. You hear this? I introduced my mom to flameless lighters. For Christmas, I asked for one that was really pretty in rose gold, and my mom got this on Amazon. She liked that it could bend because she burns candles from jars. I also have one here, actually. If you ever want to really cozy up your room with candles or even sparkly lights, place it in front of a mirror because that multiplies the amount of sparkly or like twinkles like stars. I'm gonna go on a giant tangent and just mention when I went to a restaurant and they had those glowy lights and the corner was just 2 walls of mirrors. It looked amazing at night. And also, the first time my sister and I went to the Peter Pan ride in Disneyland, you're in a ship and you're floating around. Then you're in this sky, a very dark space with stars glowing everywhere, and I was just taken aback by the dimension of it. And then I realized, if you look closely, the whole room is filled with wires, so they actually have all the lights in space, but it's pitch black in there, so you only see the stars. But that would be, I don't know, I could use that idea for a project sometime in the future. I think there's a spider web just hanging. There's definitely a spider living out there. Every week there's a new spider web. I'm not fighting it anymore. Bambi is not eating it anymore either. So to get back to my original point, we're here to talk about some of my favorites of last month. I'm really happy that you're here to just listen to me go on. I want to be quite realistic every month and think about what in my life for the past few weeks have I actually really enjoyed or has been remarkable just to share. And it's been very different than my past formulations of favorites because I always wanted distinct categories and I kind of forced myself to pick things. But now it's a whole miscellany, you'll see. But I will start off with beauty and skincare, very beauty guru. First thing I have is this brow product. I don't think there's anyone who's never heard of it at this point because it's just the Anastasia Dip Brow and it's a pomade. Is it pomade? I like pomade. It just sounds more posh. But it was probably pomade. I used a shade Ebony. For my shade of hair, I feel like I could go both ways. You know, there was this rule where if you have dark hair, you go 2 shades lighter. If you have blonde hair, you go 2 shades darker. I'm sick of beauty standards and rules. It's just preference at this point. And I don't really like having brown brows when my hair is dark. I like it matching. I think there's a darker shade than this, and that would be a little bit blue, so I wouldn't like that either. I definitely want a warm, but this is ashy. I just want to say I've reconciled with this product because in late high school, when I already had a YouTube, you probably saw a lot of those makeup videos and stuff. I did have this product. I'm not sure if I ever filmed with it, but I don't know what happened to that specific one that I bought. I got really unlucky because it got gross. Because my impression of that was within the first month or 2, it became unusable. I'm not sure actually what happened to it. I don't remember bringing it in the car and having it overheated or too cold. I would take my little e.l.f. angled brush and just like try to stab at it and it would come on and just be the worst consistency, and I should have taken it back or asked about it. I just swore myself off of this. Then when I went to college and I met Kira, she lived next door to me for freshman year, and she would use this and she was like, no, it's actually really easy to use, and I actually have trouble not picking up too much product or else it'll be too dark and saturated. That is true. When I apply this on my brows, I use this angled brush. This is very similar to the one that Anastasia carries themselves, but I didn't want to buy that. Why, when my mom has a bunch of brushes she doesn't even use, I'm gonna take hers. But this is way better than the e.l.f. one that I had, because their brush, when you look at it from the very front, the edge is thick. But I want to create a relatively thin line with this, so I don't have to waste my money on those micro brow pencils. That's how I used to draw my brows for years and years, just using pencils, and I would eat through them. I would use like 1 or 2 every month. I don't like having fuzzy caterpillar brows. I first guide along the very bottom edge of my brow, make sure that the angle is right. I used to have the worst time drawing my brows in, like the arc. I didn't understand my facial structure. I was always trying to copy the wrong celebrities' brows when their bone is different than mine. So I had the worst time doing makeup in the morning, and it would be a victory to just do my brows without erasing and wiping it off at least once every day. Not much else to say about the product other than I think it works really well. The quality is great. If I fell asleep with the brows on, it actually doesn't smear at all. And when I go in the shower trying to remove my makeup with facial soap, it takes a really long time getting it off, so it's best to use makeup remover on it first, something maybe with a little bit of oil. I always call this part of my brow like the little tail because it doesn't exist on my face. I naturally just grow brows and it stops right here, and maybe I can have that cute Asian straight brow, but yet my brows grow up like this, kind of like Spock, as many people have told me before. When I look like this, it goes up like Spock. But then I draw it like that because from the side it goes back down. I used to draw it like this. I was following the more Western brow look, and I would just draw my brows all the way down here and it looked terrible. So my favorite thing overall is just not having to buy brow pencils anymore. I feel like in the long run it saves a lot of money, which is cool. And then next is skincare. I have one brand, a few of my favorite things from there, and it's Hello Body. They were running a campaign, and when they approached me, they wanted to know if I wanted to do sponsored collaboration. So that's how we originally began talking, maybe doing a video, but I'm trying to be more specific with the content that I create and have a vision for it, make it really fun for me and also engaging for you. And I guess my main qualms was just I never heard of the brand, so I didn't want to dedicate a whole video to talking about products and recommend them. So I told them like maybe in the future, but then they said, okay, that's totally fine, but would you just like to try some things? So they sent me the moisturizer and a face wash and then some other things that I guess they wanted me to try out, and I actually really liked them. They're a brand based in Germany, and it does feel very fresh. This range has a scent of cucumber in the undertone. It's something that I pick up right away. And then also aloe and whatever else it is. I can't describe scents very well. It's definitely pungent. I know that there's fragrance, but it's not the very floral or very sweet scent. It's just a nice, soothing, fresh vegetable scent. Every time I use this and I wash my face, it reminds me it is so similar to the Fresh Soy Cleanser. It's like a perfect dupe for it. And better yet, this is a cruelty-free brand. Fresh is not, so I no longer purchase from them. And if you just can't give up and you really like the soy cleanser, which I know 2 people in my life, this is a great thing to try out, and I think you also get more for less money. Then I follow up with this Aloe Light Daily Face Moisturizer, but I use this in the mornings, and after I shower, I always use my Josie Moran Argan Oil Facial Moisturizer. I started using that in 2018. In one of my vlogs, there was a typo, and I said I'm using organ oil, and so many people in the comments got freaked out at first. But this is my go-to anytime in the morning because I like to work out in the mornings, and I know I'm gonna wash my face again at night and go through a more intense skincare. So this is a really good on-the-go face moisturizer. And then Aloe Drops is a bonus on top because I haven't really heard or experienced anything like this. I would say it's like an essential oil. Maybe I'm wrong. Essential oils, I'm not actually sure what is appropriate to put on your face in terms of oil, because growing up, the thought of oil and face is always bad. Like, oh, you have grease on your skin, then you get acne, but I need to read up more on that because that's definitely not how it works. And also, if you have dry skin, it's because it's very oily on the inside and vice versa. And this thing came in handy the most when my skin was was just at the worst point, the most dry. Because when I come home from the East Coast and I've been living in a very humid place for a few months, especially in the first month or so, my skin was just peeling all the time. And once I would wash my face, I would just feel like I actually have no outer layer of skin. It would burn so much when I put on my argan oil face butter, and this calms it down so much. I'm really glad I didn't have like another flare up where it was red. Oh yeah, that reminds me, because when I first received these and I read the ingredients for them, I got a little bit discouraged from using it because it contains alcohol, and I learned my lesson when it comes to applying anything with alcohol in it, like, you know, toner or sunscreen, because I've been burned. I've had really bad reactions last year. I kind of just swore off anything with alcohol in it. Since I'm not a chemist, I actually don't know the nuances between different kinds of alcohol and also the contents of it. At first I didn't use this for a whole week, and then I decided to try it out. I did like a patch test and it works fine. So anyway, I would apply this and massage it in. It would feel really good, and it does give you a glow boost. It's the perfect dewy skin look. You know, put on your eyelids or your cheekbones. So yeah, these have been part of my everyday. I just wish they weren't plastic of some sort, because one reason why I enjoy buying from Josie Moran and continue to do so is because they implemented this take back, or a form of recycling program. So not only are their products like glass and metal, they also take back their containers. Because depending where you live, the recycling facilities have very different rules, at times very strict about it. So most of the things I realize I've been recycling all my life, they are not recyclable. And then the next one I have is a household item, and you've seen this a lot. Probably back in Providence too, in my kitchen. I would always use these to wipe my hands in the kitchen, and I got these for, well, I convinced my mom to get these for our house. We go through an entire paper towel roll like every 2 days now that everyone is here in the house all the time, and I thought maybe I should have brought these back with me, but I left them in Providence because I plan to actually go back to the apartment. I didn't mention that. I meant to say that earlier because I was lighting the candles and stuff. Most of my stuff is still there in the apartment that I lived at, and I had to go back in the summer to move out and figure out where I'm going next. Basically, when I go back, I'm gonna be there for a week or so when I'm packing. I wanted the space to be livable, and I actually, at school, I haven't gone through a single paper towel roll. They are flannel cotton, 100% cotton. When you buy them, they come bigger because they're designed to shrink into the perfect size to fit your rolls. The lemon print I think is perfect. They add a pop of color, really brightens up the kitchen space. And also personally, I feel like all white paper towels would dirty easily, or over time it's more difficult to keep it pristine or look nice, but with this print it looks really cute. I got mine at Impact Everything, the store that I live near, run by my friends. I'm sure that they're carried at a lot of different stores, especially those eco-friendly stores popping up. And for our household of 5, we needed the large pack. I think there are either 24 or 40, I can't actually remember, but they're all over the house now, and we actually have to do the laundry and wash them every couple of days because now we're getting really used to it and we're running out really fast. Because of the nature of the textile, it grips to itself, and just save one of those cardboard paper towel holders and roll it back up. So that was really nice. I think it's a good investment, and in the future I can even make these myself if I come across flannel I really enjoy, and maybe even design my own prints. It's just surged. When I was suffering from allergies mostly last month and I had an ice pack on me all the time, I found this is a great way to hold it to my face, because over time it gets really cold, but it's absorbent so it won't drip and it won't get wet, because a normal paper towel will get really soggy. A face towel will be way too thick, so I wouldn't actually feel the coldness for like half an hour before the ice pack itself melts. For music this month, I haven't found anyone new to share because I've been listening to my playlist and it's songs I'm familiar with. So I just went to my liked songs, picked my most recently favorited, and the 3 artists are Soccer Mommy, Jacob Ogawa, and Japanese Breakfast. It's just really suitable for studio spaces, I think, because it keeps my energy up and it's a little fun, but still mellow because the pacing in general is kind of slow, or maybe just the pacing at which they sing is slow. From Soccer Mommy, from her album Color Theory, my favorite track is Yellow is the Color of Her Eyes. It might be her most popular one, or maybe your favorite or not. Her voice is so soft and gentle. From Jacob Ogawa, it's also his voice that I love. It's just so gentle and soothing. Reminds me a little bit of Beach House. I don't have a specific song I wrote down for him, but from Japanese Breakfast, I really liked In Heaven. It's so weird because up until this morning, I thought that all three artists were partially East Asian. I looked them up just so I can have some things to talk about when I'm explaining to you. And basically, Jacob Ogawa is Norwegian, and I don't know his last name, but he chose Ogawa because it was from this Japanese poster that he had in his bedroom growing up. And for Soccer Mommy, there was really no reason except for every time her album cover came up in the corner of my Spotify and it would be really small, she just looked partially East Asian because her hair kind of looked dark like mine. So I just thought, oh, okay. No, her name is Sophia Regina Allison. She's from Tennessee. Very cool to know. And lastly, for Japanese Breakfast, the artist behind the name, it's a solo run band, and her name is Michelle Zahner. And she is half Korean and half Jewish. And she was born in Seoul and moved over to Oregon when she was 8. The story behind her choosing Japanese breakfast is because she wanted to combine East and West, saying that breakfast is very iconic in the States and wanting to mix that with something stereotypically Asian. And she thought like Japan was so often exoticized by Westerners, so then she made it Japanese breakfast. And then it seems from me stalking her a little bit on her Instagram that she writes a lot, she reads a lot, so that's really cool. She wrote a piece for New York Times called something like Crying in H Mart, and I didn't want to read it because the synopsis is basically when she was young, her mother passed away from cancer, and I think another family member very close to her did as well. And going to H Mart, wanting to shop for some Korean food in the aisle and not having anyone to call to ask about the brand of seaweed, that I already know that's going to be very moving and very sad. The sun is coming out, so it's really bright now. That's basically my rundown for artists, and it's because I've been playing the same playlist over and over again, and it's called Cutie in the Studio. My Spotify is Pepper Blue. The reason I named it that is because Frankie Cosmos is one of my staples when I'm doing art, being productive at my desk, and anytime I hit play, for the longest time, the first song that would come up is Outside with the Cuties, and I really enjoyed it, so it's always in my head. The song goes like, outside with the cuties. So the reference cuties is kind of to Frankie. And aside from that, now on to what I've been watching in terms of TV or YouTube. I've been really liking Grand Designs. They only have 2 seasons on Netflix and like 10 episodes out of 15 seasons. So I don't even know why Netflix would bother just putting a tiny bit on. Really, you're like killing me. I want to see all of it. But it's really good, okay? I know that in my last vlog, I was kind of giving Kevin a hard time because he has a very interesting way of being a host, and he's very, I guess, quirky and outspoken and just says all of these really drama queen things. It's really interesting, and that show is quite crude compared to a lot of reality shows I'm used to. They leave in a lot of sort of unpleasant and realistic interactions between people, but I appreciate that. It's actually very genuine. There was one episode where a couple was building a house on this river, and the neighbors all were very against it because they were building a very contemporary glass house where they had extremely traditional ones, and this lady was literally like, no, I can't be happy. I hope it floods on them. Oh yeah, I did take some screenshots. There was one episode where a community had grass on their roof, and then this couple took that idea and they moved to Isle of Skye, which I went to before and I would love to visit again. So that was really cool to think about, being able to have a lawn on your rooftop. There would be flowers on your roof and you can sit up there and picnic at a slant. Apparently you only need to tend to it once or twice a year, so it's not really high maintenance, and then it also insulates and blocks out sound, which I imagine would be really cool. I wonder if the climate would make it possible. If I ever had a house, I would totally do that. Aside from that, I've been watching K-dramas again because I told myself no distractions when you're finishing up your thesis. When I watch K-dramas, I can't understand, so my eyes are like glued to the screen trying to read the English subtitles every 5 seconds. So that's really, really distracting. I started Hi Bye Mama, finished it in like 3 days, and then now I'm in the middle of Cheese in the Trap. Hi Bye Mama is a Netflix original, and it's this woman who passed away and is around her toddler daughter as a ghost. She's been watching over her, and then she's been granted life again for some mysterious reason. The theme is kind of obvious. What it is to be living and what life means after death and just cherishing your time. The episode names are very alluding to those themes too. I believe the last episode was called like the petals fall but the flower prevails. I'm getting goosebumps. It was good. I enjoyed it. It was so emotional to the point where I didn't actually empathize with the characters after a while, but it was good acting, very good. All the K-dramas I watched, everyone was really good at acting, at least it seems. Because when I watch dramas in America, a lot of them are really cringy and just, it doesn't seem as convincing to me, like all of the performances. So that's one. And then Cheese in the Trap is, I'm enjoying it just because it's so odd. And I know that it was an adaptation. I would say the first 4 episodes I was not into at all, but I'm just like, whatever, I'm just gonna get through this. I can't abandon a show. I just have to watch it all. Same with movies. Lastly, another thing I watched on Netflix while I was working was Christine McConnell's baking show. Unfortunately, it was discontinued, so there's only 6 episodes and 1 season that came out last year. It was an original called The Curious Creations of Christine McConnell, I believe. And the idea of it was this woman living in a haunted Victorian house filled with monsters, and it was really entertaining. I originally heard of Christine McConnell because on YouTube her house tour popped up, so I watched that the first month it came out, and then I kind of forgot about her. And then I saw this Netflix show while I was exploring. I put it on my list, never got to it because it's kind of like Halloween themed, so I thought I should just wait until Halloween. And then now I'm like, oh wait, no, that's like another 5 months, so I'm just gonna watch it now, who cares? And it turned out to be everything and more. It was so cute. There were little animatronics in it, so I got really attached to the raccoon. I just have this thing with raccoons, and I really appreciate people who direct message me this one video of a raccoon being sung happy birthday, and the raccoon's name was Annabelle. So they were singing happy birthday to this raccoon named Annabelle, and I had a hat on. I was just sitting on this high chair. That is me. I also enjoyed the Sphinx Cat. I loved everything about that show. After that, I watched all of her YouTube videos. Then I learned that she has a Patreon account. So then I became her lowest tier patron. I think it's $3 a month. So then you can watch all her episodes. I don't even know where to start. She is an artist, but she's really just like a jack of all trades, it seems. She got really noticed for her baking. Very, very grand. And her aesthetic is very sinister, spooky, anything like that. And I love it so much. There's definitely a side to me that's interested in that. I love the idea of like somebody in this 50s dress, you know, all perky and smiley, and then you walk over, you like open this closet door and the whole thing is filled with knives, and it's like, part of the show is talking about that, where she's just very, I guess, desensitized when the little puppets were talking about like, let's kill the neighbor, and then she was like, we will kill him with kindness, and the cat was like, ugh, that takes so long. It was so funny. So anyhow, I am one of her patrons, and that's kind of how I stumbled across Patreon. And then I was watching Cheyenne Barton on YouTube, a vlogger I watch all the time, and I've talked about her before. She's an illustrator too, and an actress as well, and she bakes really well too. I joined her Patreon as well, and I've been finding other creators that I didn't know had a page to support, because as you know, I launched my Patreon a couple of days ago, and right now I have a couple of 100 members in my community, and I am so grateful and happy about that. So I guess if it weren't for Christine McConnell and just stumbling upon that, once I am a little bit more financially stable, I can be her $7 tier. That goes for everybody that I support right now. I'm basically on their smallest, cheapest tier, and then hopefully in the future I can support them more. And as my Patreon community is slowly growing, that allows me to invest in things like not only like my art things for business, but also I can expand how many other artists and creators that I support on Patreon, so that's great. My last favorite to mention is eBay. I got really obsessed because I was looking at this sewing machine that I was so determined to buy, and it's another Husqvarna Viking, and I already got one for myself last summer, which I really enjoy, but I was thinking to step it up at one notch. I ended up actually stepping it up many notches, tens of notches, because I wanted one with an embroidery table and one that I can really just go as far as I can with, and I already got it. I'm staring at it right now. Like once I have this video done and a couple of exclusive Patreon episodes done, then I can get that out because I'm gonna actually film it and talk about it for another Patreon video. So that's kind of why things need to be on hold and I have to be very patient. But from eBay, I didn't get that sewing machine, but I did get this thing. Every time I start eBay, I tell myself like I can't go on eBay because I get so infatuated with these bid wars. I never win it anyways. I was bidding for these vintage hats and I didn't end up getting it because it got too expensive. And then I was trying to fight for this whole lot of authentic vintage lace trims and they looked so beautiful. I think I missed out. I set an alarm for it so I can go in and bid at the last second, and then I don't know what I was doing that day because it ended. It sold for I think $37 plus like $6 shipping, and I missed out on it completely. But I did get this swan. So pretty. A warm pink is one of my favorite colors. And I was thinking I could make it a candle just to burn at my desk, or it can hold like a bar of soap. It can be anything. And I actually have another one because so many people sell this on eBay. It's everywhere. So I was just looking around and there's a whole bunch of them at different prices. So I was trying to look for the most affordable one. I feel like it was like less than $20, but some people had like $20 shipping, and the swan itself was like 19, so that was double. And I also got curtain rods. No, not curtain rods. There's a specific name for it. I think curtain poles. I got really cute ones, but I packed it up because I have no use for it right now. I'm slowly accumulating nice vintage goods for my next apartment or house that I'm living in. I'm kind of like glossing around on eBay, and occasionally if there was I think a treasure that is affordable, I will get it and slowly collect it. I don't want to just like binge and get a ton of stuff to be excited about, because over time I just get numb over it. So it definitely has to be something I'll treasure for a long time. And antiques, retro, even those things like really bring a sort of joy to me. For my outfit too, I was gonna say, do you remember this tank top was from my thrift haul at the very beginning of my sophomore year in college, and then this one is from the thrift haul of last fall, so the fall of my senior year. My earrings, I've made them. I'm experimenting with a lot of different things. This is a more, I guess, like minimal fun take, and I made another collection I'm thinking is like definitely more detailed, so I'm not really sure what I'm going for, and like I don't want to be too limiting. I just want to do whatever I feel like, and it's going to be extremely all over the place, very mismatched and eclectic. I always describe myself that way. With these earrings, I'm going to put up a sample sale on my site, and it's linked below. The first batch is going to be a little cheaper because they're not perfect. Despite how simple they look, it is so hard. It is really a lot of work for this very simple swiggle. So for the first batch, they are very imperfect when you look up close, but from afar, I think it does the job. So there's going to be like a dozen pairs going up. And then, okay, this is a really long video, but my last favorite of all is a person. It's my favorite person, Tyler. I just want to mention that today is officially 3 years since we became boyfriend-girlfriend, because Tyler actually asked me, you know, like a very traditional little speech kind of thing. So today, because we don't really have a day, unlike my past relationships, I feel like there was this like holy date that was just like the date. But then I just feel like I met Tyler not long after that. We dated and we weren't friends before, so it just doesn't feel necessary to have like one date where everything changed, because I feel like the moment he entered my life, things changed. And we will make a boyfriend tag. We always mean to do it. Like I meant to do this last year, and then before I know it, another year has gone by. But don't worry, soon. Now that I'm kind of just doing this full time, we're definitely going to do a boyfriend tag soon. I just wanted to do this little shout out at the end just to say that I appreciate Tyler so much and I love him, and happy 3 years. And that's it for me today. I hope that you had a good time. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your day. I will see you soon. All my love. Bye. It is so hot. You know why? Because this sheer top is polyester and it conducts heat so poorly as a plastic yarn. So I'm so hot. Oh my gosh. I would be perfectly warm in just this tank top, so I'm just so... Whew. To drink, I'm just chugging water during this whole thing. I can't